The big news story doing the rounds at the moment is that successful, crazy Fortnite, the video game, is responsible for video game addiction, and that really something needs to be done about it. The Daily Mirror today has run this on its front page, and if that's not enough to show you that it is indeed taken over, I don't know what is. Before we go anywhere with this, any kind of addiction, be that drugs, alcohol, or games, should be taken seriously. There's an underlying reason people take these things to such a level, and it should never be belittled, and it should never be undermined, and we as a society should be working together to ensure we can get these people the help that they so obviously need. Throwaway lines such as, well, it's just a video games, help nobody. When we get to this stage, it has nothing to do with the cause, and it's all about finding the way to get this individual back to a healthy and happy state. This also doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and find a solution though. If there are gamers out there who are losing themselves to Fortnite, then again, we should be aware of this and doing what we can to restore balance. Games are meant to be fun if nothing else, and as soon as that has disappeared, then something has gone wrong. It's the same with gambling in terms of a premise. A lot of people enjoy gambling for what it is. When you tip the scales too far and you start heading in the wrong direction and it becomes a problem, then we need to draw it back, and it's about finding ways to do that and help people that can't seem to do that by themselves. The issue with such articles like this though, as I'm sure most people know, are that they are sensationalist. The idea behind it is to not open this door to try and raise awareness so that those in trouble are given a lifeline, but instead to shout about how harmful video games are and try and use that to sell a few more papers. It's nothing new and it's going to continue regardless of what I or anybody else says, but it takes away the focus from what's important, and at that stage, I feel like it's alright for us to be a little bit worried. The question of parenting is always introduced into these discussions, and rightfully so. Any pastime can potentially become dangerous, and that's why you need a strong parental unit looking around about what's going on just in case they need to get involved. It's why any story about Grand Theft Auto being a pox on society is instantly undermined when you find out that mum and dad had no idea that it was an 18 rated game and they were allowing their 11-year-old son to play it. You wouldn't let them see Saw, so why on earth are you letting them play Grand Theft Auto? It's the same thing, it's exactly the same thing. It's not about the game, it's not about the film, it's about everything that comes with that. There's also the fact that a lot of us do have addictive personalities, and that in itself needs to be managed. That doesn't mean we shouldn't take care when playing games, but it does mean that it's important to accept this could be the case and be aware of that as best you can, because it's not exclusive to just games. It could manifest itself just from watching R-rated movies or by listening to copious amounts of aggressive music. Moderation is key to anything like this because it stops someone that's more susceptible from being hooked. Here, it's all about self-care and really self-preservation. Then of course is the article itself. Now I don't doubt the story at all, and I completely feel for the parents, but lines such as, every time you finish a game, you're automatically dropped back into the battle zone, well, that's just not true. And that raises other concerns. I mean, I play Fortnite once a week for a video series on VG 24/7, and not once have I ever been automatically put into a game. You die, you then have to choose to go back to the menu, and then you choose to re-enter the battlefield. I'm not saying this has been done to make it sound worse or anything like that, but I am saying it takes the focus off where the focus needs to be, and that is helping the individual in question and making sure they can get back on their feet and get back to 100%, because that's what matters. That is the only thing that matters. For example, instead of dragging Fortnite or Epic Games through the mud, why not work with them to try and come up with an answer to all of this? Because let's face it, there are millions of players out there who just enjoy Fortnite and like it for what it is. Which is basically why I made this video. Fortnite brings joy to millions of people around the world, and that's great. In that sense, it serves its purpose without need for comment. But if there is also another side that's being picked apart in this fashion, I think it needs to be presented in a different way in order for it to no longer be any kind of an issue. Games often help people to find themselves and are a huge passion for many, so we shouldn't be dragging them down where there's a much more positive avenue that we can walk down. I know that's the cheesy shit that I always spout, and it's like, meh, positivity, but it's true, and I believe it, and I have somewhat of a platform to say it, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna say it. Let's come together and let's not try and, kick each other in the shins and make us feel even worse. Now, you're watching this on YouTube, but I'm not going to do any of that YouTube stuff because it's more of a personal message, but you know what it is if you wanted to do it. My name is Simon Miller, and I'll see you soon.